Hey everybody, I'm going live. I'm going to talk about the Garmin Instinct. I'm going to unbox it, the Esports edition. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm just making sure that all my live stuff is working, just verifying the connection here before I get started. So give me 1 second while this happens. Hey everybody. Yep, looks like we're good to go. Okay, cool. So today what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be talking about the Garmin Instinct Esports edition. I just got it yesterday. Haven't taken it out of the box yet. It came via UPS last night. So we're just going to unbox it right now. I'll talk a little bit about the watch, what I'm excited for, what I'm excited to test out. So first of all, just looking at the box of the Instinct is not Garmin's top model. It sells for $300. You know, compared to like their top models, which are closer to 600, and just kind of cool, you know, comparing it to their different models, just to see like, so this is the box of the Garmin 935, which was Garmin's old top model, and this is the box of the 945, which is Garmin's current top model. Well, unless you count the Phoenix, but I prefer the Forerunner as my top model of Garmin. So let's see here. So you can see the boxes of look how much thinner the box of the Instinct is. So they've really thinned it out. I'm not quite sure why, but they've thinned out the box. So you can see, but about roughly the same square size as the Forerunner box. Okay, so let's take this this Instinct out and let's take a look. I'll show you the size. I'll compare it. I'll compare it to my Apple Watch and my Garmin 945, which I've also got right here. I didn't wear that one today just so I can compare it to this. So taking it out of the box, pretty simple. Just unhook it. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, cool. Nice little setup right in there. You can see the Instinct. Now, this is my first Instinct. I've not used a Garmin Instinct before, so I'm really curious to try it out and use it because it seems really cool. So nice display. It's got a sticker on it, basically like showing what the watch is going to do, which is pretty cool. Let's take this puppy out. All right, so it's got the basic Garmin connector, the same connector that's used for my 945 and basically my 935. All my Garmin watches for the last several years have used the same connector. So that's good, so I can reuse the connector for everything. Well, let's get it out of this case here, which will just take me 1 second. And let's take a look at the size compared to the 945. Now keep in mind, the 945 is Garmin's flagship model besides the Phoenix. So I obviously expect the 945 to feel a little better, but let's take a look. All right, so let's compare the two. So first of all, let me talk about how this feels. So weird. So the first thing I'm noticing is like the edges don't bend up and down. It's like, you can look, it's like almost, you can see like this curve here. Like you can't get rid of that. It doesn't like bend and fit to your wrist. Whereas like the 945, look at these bands. There's like an actual latch here that they bend to. So what I'm wondering is, can you replace these bands? It does look like there's a connector in there inside here that allows you to unhook and connect. But that would be something I'd be curious about, whether I could connect the bands or not. Watch itself feels solid. Feels really solid compared to my 945, which feels a little lighter. But the Instinct's made to be more rugged, so there's a lot more plastic around here on this Instinct, which is kind of cool. I can just show some of this stuff up close. You can see how these ends just don't bend. They're like very much like attached, like solid. And just to show this up close, you can see how these just bend really well. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let me try it on. See how it, you know, looking at the size, the actual screen itself is a tad smaller than the 945, but what's interesting is the actual diameter of what the watch, so just because the 945 has a big screen, the actual outside of it doesn't display anything. It's just black. And if you compare that to the Instinct, it actually looks like they have about the exact same actual screen capacity size. So it looks like they have the same screen size. Here's the two up close so you can get an idea. It looks like they're about the same size. Thickness wise, the Instinct's definitely a little thicker. Heart rate monitor on the Instinct looks the same exact thickness as the 945, but the two heart rate sensors are definitely different. Take a look at the 945 heart rate sensor, this is the 945, which is up and down sensor, and the Instinct is the three little dots. And I feel like these three little dots are what the 935 had, the older version of the heart rate sensors. Whereas this is the newer one, the 945, with the four things going up and down. But same exact charger and everything. The watch feels really solid, feels good, so I'm really excited to test it out. So let me talk a little bit about this watch and what I'm excited for. So first of all, this watch is designed to be Garmin's Esports watch, which means that I'm going to be able to stream on the screen and display my heart rate, stress, and body battery, which is really interesting because body battery is your gas tank. So it's supposed to show how much fuel you have in your tank. So I'm very curious to see how the Instinct, how it just works, how it displays on the screen and all that cool stuff. So I'm really curious to see that. And it is a cool training piece of technology that's not necessarily thought of in esports, but is becoming a lot more popular as we're realizing that esports athletes do need to actually train. So I'm very curious to see how this works, how the connection works, how it works with OBS, because that's what it does, is designed to work with. I use OBS every day. So I'm really curious. Garmin did create an app called like Stream Up or something like that, that is supposed to be the software that allows this watch to stream. We are going to test that puppy out and see how this streams. I'm also going to use this. I'm going to train with this. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to bike with it. I'm going to do lift weights with it. I want to test this sucker out and see how well it does with all the stuff. I'm going to compare it to my 945. I'm going to compare it to my Apple Watch. I'm going to see how the GPS works, how the heart rate works, and see how good I think the thing is compared to these other watches. I'll test the body battery, compare it to my 945, see if they show pretty consistent body battery estimates and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just curious. It's going to take me a solid, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks before I can do a review, because just to get the body battery working is going to take at least a week before it's working right for me. And I really want to test it out and make sure I know all the good and bad things about this thing so that when I review it, it's correct. So yeah, that's it for now. I see I've got some questions here. Are they doing an Apple? So someone asked, are they doing an Apple, no charging included? No, the charge is, the charger, this does come with a charger. There is no fee or anything like that to stream to OBS. So that's all free. And yeah, there is a charger for it. I don't think it'll be uncomfortable. I think it actually feels really good on my wrist. I don't think that bend thing is going to actually make a difference at all. It actually feels really nice, just me putting it on my wrist. It feels like every other watch I have. So I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. I know one of the reasons the 945 does bend like this is for biking, so that people can very easily switch the bands on the watch while they're working out. I mean, even my Apple Watch, it doesn't bend here. It's very much more like the Instinct where it doesn't bend. So anyway, cool. I'm excited to test it out. I'm glad Garmin sent me a version to play with and see how it works, and I will test it out. And maybe it's something that all my esports students are going to be using, at least the competitors, in the next year or two, and something we're going to start to see other esports teams using. I think it's a really cool idea. I'm glad to see Garmin pushing this space. And I told them when I talked to them, and I'm going to talk to them more about this, that oh, I see. I talked to them about this. I'm really curious to see how this kind of technology for Garmin body battery being displayed on a screen. One of the things I told them when I spoke with them is that this technology could really be used in the education sector or in the business sector. Just imagine, as a teacher, being able to come into a classroom and see that, wow, all my students, their gas tanks are a little low today. Why is that? And maybe that means I shouldn't be overloading them in a certain way today. I could almost gauge instruction by how much sleep the class got, how their body battery is, how much stress they're feeling. There's a lot that could be done with it. I just think it's interesting in the direction it's going, and I think that biometrics are going to have a large place in business and in the classroom in the future. And so I'm very excited to be able to test this technology for different things. So that's kind of one of the things that I'm really looking to do, is just see like all the different uses for this. So, and I told Garmin that I'd be willing to do some research studies on that kind of stuff, because I definitely have teachers that I think would be interested in testing this out. Because one of the big things in that space would be privacy of students, their data and stuff like that. But still, there's some good stuff that could be gleaned from this, and just putting this use into esports is just a first case where this could be useful besides exercise. So anyway, that's about it. And someone mentioned that this could be used for test anxiety. Yes, that's exactly the kind of thing that this could be used for. We can really look at maybe something the teacher's doing in the classroom is stressing students out, and we'd be able to see that real time, which I think is awesome. We'd also be able to see like what are the effects on Garmin's body battery from the beginning of the day till the end of the day. Because if students overall, you're finding your class is absolutely drained by the end of the day, you might, that might help gauge your instruction by putting the more important stuff first, less important stuff last, because you realize your students just don't have the mental capacity to really continue on after a certain point in the day. There's all kinds of stuff that could be gleaned from this that, there's all kinds of uses that I think it's just a very interesting technology. It's very new still. But the one thing I will say, I've tested Garmin's body battery extensively on myself. I've watched other people test it, and it is a amazing piece of tech. If I have a drink before bed, body battery knows and says, you didn't get a good night's sleep last night. Your heart rate variability, your stress was high while you slept. It knows that I had a drink that night. It can tell all kinds of cool stuff. Yes, someone just commented that it could, we could see how lunch affects students, and there's so many uses for that. One of the things I've talked about that we don't do in education or business is we never focus on all the health aspects of it, and that how health plays such a significant effect on our productivity at work, our health, our in the classroom, and just everything. Like how having a good night's sleep affects our how well we can perform the next day, how diet and what we eat at lunch, as someone commented, how that affects our productivity the rest of the day, because it does. Notice how when you have a large lunch, sometimes you feel sleepy or you just don't feel great the rest of the day versus something else. And there is something to that we don't focus on in education or business for some reason. It's just kind of like a taboo subject. We don't talk about it. Maybe it's just not recognized as that important, but it does play such a significant role. We've recognized it in athletics already. For years and years, we train our athletes, but we don't train our employees. We don't train our students like that. And it's something that this kind of technology has the ability to actually start to give us objective measures of it, which I'm excited for. So anyway, yeah, kind of cool. I'm excited to test it out. I'm glad Garmin sent me a copy of it. I'll test it out. And obviously I've got a bunch of other Garmin watches to compare it to. This is their flagship device. So this is really what I'm going to be comparing it to a lot, is how well does it compare to my 945. And yeah, that's it. I just wanted to, unbox it and talk about some of the cool stuff I'm excited to test out. Look for this. It's going to take me a couple weeks to really give it a good review. I want to be fair and do a good job. And I need to meet with Garmin engineers and talk to them about some of the stuff that maybe if I'm having any issues or things I like and don't like about it, just to give them some feedback as well. So I'd want them to respond to any criticism I had about it. But, I'm excited for it so far. I'm looking forward to the tech. So, and that's it. Later all.